I'm Chaz Mee. I'm the CEO of Brouha, which is a presence-aware mobile platform that allows any physical place, like a store, a venue, any place that has a front door, to be able to make a direct one-to-one connection and spot customers as they come through the front door. And we do this using something called RFID technology. The main hurdle actually for us, or at least in the beginning, was making the technology work. You know, most companies start with a business model. I started with a very loose premise of why doesn't a physical space understand that I've entered that space without my having to do anything, without my having to check in or anything like that. And so that's the premise we started with, and then RFID as a technology has been around for a long time, but nobody has attempted to do what we did. And most people told us we would fail. And we thought we were going to fail over and over and over again for a long period of time. And I think there was a point where we thought, okay, this isn't going to work. But actually, we ended up figuring out a way to actually make it happen. So that our platform could actually work. And that was the scariest point in time, because you spend a lot of time and energy just making a technology work. And then obviously we had to go back around and say, okay, we have this technology works, it has lots of potential, now let's apply business models to it. So it's kind of the reverse of what probably most businesses go through. The things that trip you up are, you know, we've had the typical stuff of bootstrapping, where's the money going to come from, how are we going to find the right partners, but, you know, the trip-ups, a lot of the trip-ups happened very early. Again, like while we were actually trying to make the technology work, a lot of heart attacks and, like, you know, hard stops when we were doing that. Now the trip-ups are much more minor. They are we going to partner with the right people? Are we going to be able to drive prices down enough? Is the technology going to be cheap enough? Is it going to be ubiquitous enough? But those kind of trip-ups are just what you go through as a startup, and I think that's part of the process, and that's actually part of the adventure of being an entrepreneur and being a startup. So I don't actually consider them negative. I consider them, you know, part of the learning process. Our resources that I found to be most useful are technology partners. So we got really lucky really early on that we are backed, not financially, but as far as being supplied with information and equipment from very large RFID hardware manufacturers, people who have been in the industry for a long time, who actually thought we weren't going to be able to pull this off, who've given us tremendous support. I mean, they've given us free equipment, and actually just a couple weeks ago, we formalized an official partnership with a couple of these companies. So we have enormous support for such, really what I consider a kind of a really small startup. So that's been really helpful. Wow. I would say we're at the edge of a couple abysses. We're at the edge of really launching for real with a real product, real business model in the marketplace. Actually now, my partner's back in New York City. So there's that, and then there's the funding kind of abyss. And those two things are coming together very quickly. So as we launch and get our network, this interconnected network of stores starting to happen very quickly, then at the same time we're looking and talking to investors and people interested in the long-term vision of what we see. Because for us, while it's important obviously to have money to keep us going, it's important to have the right people who fit philosophically with where we see this technology playing out in the next 5 to 10 years. So. Wow, there's a lot. I think my friends who just think it's fascinating what I'm doing, some of them think I'm totally crazy, but so their support, having a really good friend circle is really helpful. And then my partner, I mean, very much finding a co-founder is probably the hardest thing about starting up a company, finding that right person who augments your skill sets. And I've been really lucky to have my partner, and I think every day you know, different days I'm the kind of cheerleader for us to keep us going, and then on other days he's the cheerleader. And I think that relationship that you have with your co-founder, to me, as somebody who tries to keep going on a day-to-day basis, that I think is what makes the company run, is us two. And I'd like to think that 5 years from now we have a bigger company, we have lots of employees, and I kind of relish the fact that I found a co-founder who years from now will be running a company together and growing as people. So that's really awesome. Who inspires me? You know, I've met a lot of different people over the years who do the type of stuff I do. I think, you know, my parents have inspired me a lot, but what inspires me is being out in the world and seeing people moving around in the world and thinking, you know, it would be really interesting to have us be out there and people using our technology. And so when I talk to people, friends or family members, it's kind of inspiring to hear their thoughts, their comments on what we're trying to do. And that's the most inspirational thing, is talking to people and hearing what they have to say, some of them good, some of them bad. And I think the world, I mean, that's why we created this, is because we were inspired by this idea of the physical and the virtual coming together. And I think that's the interesting thing. So we'll see.